See if I got the volumes right. Hi Felix, on the streets, you're the first one. Can you hear me okay? Can everybody hear me okay? Hear everything? Hi. Let's have a look. We're waiting. Great, Felix. Thanks, bro. We're waiting for Cifuentes to come in. I hope I'm saying that right. I have no idea. We shall see. There he is. Let's invite him in. Here we go. Cifuentes. Now we've sent it. Let's have a look. Hi, everybody. Glad you can join us on this Friday. Yeah. Yeah, keep. I don't have my Swedish shirt on, bro. How are you doing? Can you hear everything okay?
I'm having some trouble hearing you.
Is it right now?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro. You got me?
You're a little muffled on my part. Maybe it's my crappy phone.
Could be. Could be. There you go. I can see you fine. It's a good picture anyway. How's it going? Is it going all right?
Having a little trouble hearing you.
Okay. Try and log off and then log back on again. Have you got any headphones?
Yeah, let me go get some headphones.
Try and get your headphones, bro. I'll wait here. So, we're going to find out. There's all these technical difficulties with this. If anyone's got an idea of how we can do these better, in any kind of video system, so give me a shout over on my page at HypeMind, because I really want to try and get these coming regular, but it's so difficult to try and find a way to do it properly. It's either lagging, and last time in the interview with Suzanne Stein, I hope you've all seen it, but it logged out after an hour, and then we had to get it back again. I know we've got the Instagram TV, but I don't think that's going to allow us to do the live videos like this. But there has to be another format to do it. So if you guys know of another format, just give me a shout over on HypeMind on my page. Send me a DM there, and then I'll work it out, because I've been looking on the internet on YouTube and I can't really find that many things. Here we go. Cifuentes is back. Here we go. Hopefully it's working now. It's hot here. Oh. It's hot in Sweden. It doesn't really go together. Can you hear me now?
Not really.
Is it making it muffled? Is it distorting, or what's it doing?
It's weird. As soon as I go to live with you, you become muffled.
Okay. We'll have to try and do it as best we can. I can speak louder.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, bro. Great. So, thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for doing it, man. It's interesting. What's interesting for me is, as well, I don't know you at all, or any of you. I haven't spoken to you before or anything, so this is all new to me as well. So let's start off with just tell us a bit about yourself.
I live in Los Angeles, California. I'm based out here. I do the majority of my work out on assignment out throughout the world. I started, like a lot of people, just kind of shooting iPhone around the city. And then after that, just kind of wanted to test skills somewhere else. So I started going to Ecuador, out into the regions where the Quechua Indians frequent, and then took a trip to Cuba, went to Vietnam a couple times, and just trying to keep focusing on that kind of documentarian type work.
Yeah.
A la Steve McCurry. And if you've noticed, a lot of my stuff is portraits. So
yeah,
I tend to go that route.
When you say out on assignment, is companies paying you to go, or how is it? How, for those who don't know, how is it?
Sponsorships, but for the most part, it's really me. Just what you're seeing in the background right here. My hobby is to print my work, and that's really where it all started. I just needed something on my walls, and art's really expensive, so I just started printing my own stuff, and kind of fell in love with it from there. And got some attention online. winning contests, selling prints to restaurants and whatnot, to collectors, and it's been good ever since. It's a slow, steady rise, but I've got a couple commercial jobs, some stuff that kind of had to like use my Instagram page that I wasn't really fond of, and I do a lot of shooting, photographing people's kids on the side, and just try to do as much work with the camera as possible.
Yeah. So you live off this now? Is your full-time income?
It's not my main living, but I do make a pretty good living off of it.
Yeah, yeah. What do you do otherwise?
Steady climbing, for sure.
Yeah. What do you do otherwise, apart from
I actually work in television.
Yeah.
So a lot of my stuff is story-oriented. I work with story every day, all day, developing characters. So I think it's kind of weird, or not weird, coincidental that when I step out into the streets or step out into the world, I'm attracted to character, because that's what I do every day.
Yeah, but there's a lot of, the last couple of interviews we did, we interviewed with Craig, 6 Street Under, and he was saying that he was into graphics before, and then when he just as of a natural, he took his graphical work into photography, which is also what you're probably doing with the film work into photography as well. I mean, it's like you have a natural eye for it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can say that. I'm a big movie buff. Like, I probably got my start a lot later than most people, but I've been trained in the art of mise-en-scène and composition for years. And I think when I look behind that viewfinder, I'm trying to make my own screen, my own television screen, my own movie screen.
Yeah.
And, going for emotion, going for great lighting, character. So to me, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, still pictures is hard. Motion pictures to me is the most difficult. And I've had my training there, and doing stills and going that realm, it's just good exercise for storytelling to me.
It seems like when you were saying about you printing your work, now everything's so focused on, especially Instagram. And now when you're saying about printing your own work, it's a completely different feeling having it on paper than it is looking at it digitally on a screen or on the phone. I mean, a lot of us are just using Instagram to get our work out there, but it's a completely different feeling. How do you? Is there something you would recommend for people to do and try?
I would recommend printing your work before really like sharing it. I mean, and even like printing your work, matting your work, framing your work, it just gives it a certain aesthetic and a couple bumps. And maybe it's because I'm selfish and I'm just like my own stuff, but there's nothing like seeing your stuff on the wall. And I just wish I had a bigger place so I can just hang everything.
Do you do shows as well?
Yeah, I do random shows in Los Angeles. I'd like to do a solo show, but I don't feel I'm there yet with the cohesive, consistent story. But I jump into shows every now and then, and maybe showcase a couple, pieces here and there. I throw most of my pieces up on Instagram. I'd like to do a show where people would have not seen the work yet. But I don't have that much work aside from what I try to throw the best up and not just throw anything. And then, if I could do a show, I'd like to maybe showcase half of what people seen and the other half what no one's seen yet.
I personally don't have the staying power to pretty much everything I shoot. I put straight up on Instagram because I don't. There's no way I can hold it back, and I'm just going to keep this for myself. I'm just going to keep this. I'll just straight up. I admire people that can do that, but
yeah, I mean, I forget to post a lot, to tell you the truth. I'll go on Instagram a lot, but I'll forget to actually post my own stuff, and then I'll look, and it'd be like 3 weeks. So right now I'm in the middle of posting my last trek to Vietnam, and I just actually just realized, like, talking with you, I was like, oh, I haven't posted in a couple weeks, or not that I get sick of it, I just forget. I really just forget to do it. But you'll catch me at the print shop like 3 times a week. Easy.
What do you think of Instagram as a platform?
I mean, I'm
no holds barred.
I'm like I'm two-sided about it. I mean, I got my start on Instagram. I'm not gonna lie. I can technically be an Instagram photographer if people wanted to label me that way. Um, but I think if you look at my work, I go a little deeper than that, and I try to get a little bit more intimate and closer. And I think that's what separate. You're seeing a large separation between what Instagram photography was, and I think that trend of the urban landscape that I was seeing a lot the last couple of years, I think is starting to die off with like the highly colorized, saturated skies with the building in the background, or someone's feet dangling off the edge of a skyscraper with their Yeezys on. I think that stuff's starting to kind of fade out.
Yeah.
And I just think the people who are really trying to do something passionate are sticking around. And I think that's good. I mean, it's saturated the market, but on every levels. I mean, everyone's a food critic. Everyone's a foodie. Everyone's a beat maker. Everyone's a rapper. Everyone's a comedian. Everyone's a photographer. Hello, you know. But I think it's going to take true passion and a little like maybe doing your homework and seeing what people did before you, as opposed to what people did right before you. That'll push people's work a little more, you know.
Just so you know, we get at the bottom of the screen, you can see it on yours as well. Sometimes we get questions and people comment on the stuff that you're saying, on the stuff that I'm saying. Just, there's no rules. Just feel free to answer the questions or anything you see pop up there if someone else has a question or ask a question. So if anyone who's watching wants to ask a question for you, you know, it's not a me and you format. Just go for it if you see one. Exactly.
I can't scroll up. I'm seeing my stepmom throwing the thumbs up.
Yeah? Veronica.
Veronica. Hi, Veronica.
Hi, Veronica.
So let's get going back to like the rooftoppers. I didn't even know that was a name, but that's just the trends that I've noticed, you know, and I'm sure you've seen it too.
Yeah.
I guess the question to you is, I mean, you've built up a nice community with Capture Streets. You've seen a lot. What do you look for now?
Well, I started the page because basically what I was sick of was photographers that the only things you would see on Instagram was photographers that already have 60,000, 70,000, 80,000 followers, you know? And it was the same picture that was getting showed on the same pages all the time. So, and myself also trying to build a name for myself and build up my following in photographs. I found that, just like you were saying, images that aren't feet on the rooftops, smoke bombs, or, you know, this, because even though that's not street photography has still had its trends with these like super sharp portrait faces and you know, the bearded men and these classic sort of street photography stuff that some of these pages were hyping out, and this super faded. I just got sick of that, you know, and decided to start Capture Streets and try and get more of a raw. You know, maybe the guy who's taking his picture with his camera and hasn't done an edit, but the picture's the most important thing, you know. And I think a lot of, I mean, of course, there's power in edits. I'm not completely saying that, but there's a difference between having a picture that stands out and having a picture that stands out just because it's a good edit.
Yeah.
And for me, there's two different things. You know, you can take a picture that's mediocre and edit the shit out of it, and then people will like it just because it's the edit. And then, wow, that's such an amazing picture. I just got pissed off with it, and I just thought, I'll start this page, and then. I mean, there's loads of pages out there that like that, but after a while, those pages you had to pay to get shown and viewed on, you know. Yeah. And every time you go into the photographer's got 30,000, 40,000, 20,000, 10,000. They're not the people who you already need pushing. They've already got their start.
Yeah.
So we had as a rule when we started off that we'd only post people that had less than 3,000 followers, and try and build those up. That was the thing. Try and build these people up and you know, as a platform to get them to see that. Then I took on Square Poet from Poland, which is in my opinion he is my favorite photographer. Just iPhone shots, but I just love his work. Okay. And then a guy here from Sweden, Tommy, and then my friend Frederick, and then we have We have Seacost from London, which is just branched out, and then Bachansky is also from Poland. So we all have the same thing. We all like different stuff, and we all post different images. So the reason is, the thing was, there's no rules. Everyone do their thing and post what they like. Yeah. And that's and that's why I think, you know, we're not the biggest hub, but we do have a loyal fan base, and people
you
like
have a very loyal fan base. Yeah, I think you guys featured me way from the jump. I'm pretty sure that's how I found you guys. Just really quick, Delate had a handful of questions about the Fuji. When I'm traveling, I use three cameras actually. I use the Fuji X100T. I'll shoot my portraits with a Canon 5D, and then my iPhone. So I usually tend to have my Canon or my Fuji in my right hand, and then I'll have my iPhone in my left, kind of using the camera as a distraction for other people to kind of get the more candid look. So I'll be focusing. I might just be fake focusing on something in front of me, and then with my iPhone in my left hand, just hit the shutter really quick, and I'll get something from that. So I kind of use them both as a diversion.
Yeah. Do you have any special lenses or anything you use on the 5D?
No, just a 35mm lens for the Fuji, and then for the Canon, I usually do a 50mm or 75mm. I mean, people who know me, like, I talk a lot. It's very hard for me to be a fly on the wall and just not participate. So that's why I think everything you see is portraits for the most part, because I just engage right away. And I think you could tell a lot from a street shooter, from their work, their street smarts, if they get involved, if they get close, you can tell a lot from a person, how they shoot and how their methods are, just by looking at their work. Because you and I know what it takes to get in or stay away, and kind of do a little bit of both. But Delate.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Oh, so Delate, to answer your question, the Fuji's great. It's just really slow. So if your fortune telling skills have to be a little bit more on point. You have to kind of anticipate the moment. And it's a great camera. It's super incognito, but it's a little slow for my taste. But I do okay, you know.
Have you tried the? I'm always on the Ricoh thing, but have you tried the Ricoh GR2?
Yeah, the Ricoh was the first one that I had. First camera that I actually purchased, and then I ended up giving it to a photo comrade of mine. His daughter was going to Japan, so I gave it to her as a gift.
Sacrilege, man. Sacrilege. Yeah. I love that camera. It's one of my favorite cameras.
What's Veronica saying? I saw a question about film or digital. No, I only shoot digital. I don't shoot film. Kudos to those who shoot film. What I am seeing a big trend in, though, is people who shoot film love to just accentuate the fact that they only shoot film. But let me just say this. Just because you shoot film doesn't mean the picture's good. Picture's got to be good first, no matter what you do. iPhone, digital, film. If you're using a Canon AE1 and you're taking a picture of a broken window, just because you did it on an AE1 doesn't make it that much better of a photo.
I think
so I've heard some criticism about that before in the past.
I agree with you. I think hopefully what's coming full tide is the fact that people have to understand that it doesn't matter if you take the photo on a potato. If it's a good photo, it doesn't matter. Yeah. I mean, none of us, well, I don't know anyone who's printing their pictures on the side of buildings 60 feet high and 60 feet wide. I mean, most of us are printing our work on Instagram. Yeah. And, you know, I bet there's nobody who will be able to go through my feed and say which photos are taken with an iPhone, which are taken with a Ricoh, and which are taken with an XT2. I mean, it's like you cannot tell anymore. Maybe you could have told with an iPhone 4, but I mean, it's not the same anymore. I have people who's, well, man, great shot. What have you shot that with? And I just say, oh, Canon 5D Mark III. Wow, it's an iPhone. They just take it with the iPhone. You know what I mean? And it's the image that's the most important thing. And definitely with the work that you're doing, I mean, I've noticed looking through your feed and you have one image which I thought I really liked was with the you said with a woman that you were falling over on the rocks. Yeah. And you was using the iPhone.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can tell no difference. The image is amazing as it is.
Yeah. I mean, it was a very dewy, slippery rock morning, and I kept falling. And my guide, who does that walk twice a day, 3 times a day for ever long, she was just kind of like running through it like a deer, and she had to wait for me. So I almost cracked my lens like twice.
Mm.
So I just had to put it away and just shoot with the iPhone, and I just got the same pictures. I just got to edit them a little faster and you know send them out a little faster. But it really doesn't matter. I had a point to make about I lost train of thought. It'll come back to me. Go ahead.
Delay. Often see Fuji 100X versus GR2 at Snap. Yeah, the Snap mode in the GR2.
Yeah.
I used to use that in the start, at the beginning, but then I just
No, I wasn't fond of that after for a while. I mean, I got my feet wet with it pretty well, but I'm pretty standard. I don't need a lot of tricks. I don't use like crazy modes or anything or settings. You just go out and compose real life.
Yeah, the same here. I pretty much only have. I mean, now I got an XT2 and I have my lens on auto. I have the ISO on auto, shutter speed on auto, ISO on 400, and then I just check the exposure compensation here. Unless I'm going to do anything else, I don't care about it anymore. You know what I mean? In the beginning, I did everything on manual, and when I first started photography, but now I just want to get the picture. I don't care how I've taken the picture and what I've taken it with, as long as I've got the picture.
You know what? Time is not forgiving, and we have a split second to take this picture, so you better be ready or do whatever it takes to take it. Because I mean, how many times has the moment passed you by, and you sit there dwelling on the next couple hours?
Or when you've stood there, you've seen the image, you've taken a shot, and it's super exposed because you've had your ISO on 1, or your speed on 100 in blistering sunshine.
Yes, I know.
I don't do that anymore. Who's influencing you at the moment in Instagram or photography wise?
I take a lot of my inspiration from the National Geographic greats, David Allen, Steve McCurry, even the LA artists, Esteban Oriol. Gordon Parks is probably my favorite. Eros Hoagland. It was Eros Hoagland and I'm blanking on the gentleman's name, which Away to the Front Line from Here. Those 2 documentaries gave me pretty much the push that I needed to really start doing what I was doing.
What were those again? Sorry.
It's Which Way to the Front Line from Here, and then Eros Hoagland had a documentary series on HBO called Witness. I would pretty encourage anyone watching to YouTube. Also, Gordon Parks' Autumn doc. 3 right there. Pretty much, I think it's inspiration is on the level of like, I can do this and I can't do this. It's like on the fence. When you're inspired, it's like, I can do this, but I'm mixed with, I can't do that. That's too find out for yourself. And I have seen Everybody's Street. I saw that last, actually.
Yeah, same here. I watched that quite recently.
Yeah. But just try to stay influenced by the greats. I'm discovering new things every day. I would think more so anything. Filmmakers are my inspiration. Francis Ford Coppola, Milos Forman, Paul Thomas Anderson, Martin Scorsese, all their DPs, just the visual style that they capture. Those are my real inspirations and something that I really try to shoot for. Spike Lee, Ernest Dickerson. If you see a lot of their films, there's a lot of motion still portraits. Watch a lot of Spike Lee's movies. If you watch like 25th Hour, you'll see a lot of what I'm trying to copy.
It's definitely a different type of looking at the image. I actually follow a lot of cinematographers as well myself on Instagram. I love the way you can portray a whole scene in an image. you can create such an atmosphere with just one image, you know, and you
Yeah.
can create like a huge. I love that, and it's just a little bit of a different angle creates just the angle creates such a bit of a. Which one is which? I'm hype mind.
Yeah. And
Someone
then,
asked
oh, I
which one
remember
else
what
is
I was going
which.
to say. You know, going back to the gear use and the Instagram culture that we have, um, you know, us as shooters, because it's made so easy for us now, a lot of these cameras and uh, iPhones, they do the heavy lifting. I think it's up to us to have a little bit more responsibility to push the envelope with composition, subject, lighting, because we don't have to worry about exposure as much as we used to. So, with a lot of the heavy lifting being done with exposure and even with post, I think we need to step up and provide. It's up to us
Mm.
to, you know, pushing the envelope. A lot of people looking at our generation like, you guys have it easy, and I'm not saying we don't. We have it easier, but I think it's up to us to take a little bit more pride and a little bit more responsibility, and just put out good work. Try. You don't have to try harder in other avenues. Does
Mm.
that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I see. I see what you're saying. It's a it's interesting. I sometimes do a challenge for myself where I say I can only shoot 32 pictures in a day, and I can't delete anything either. That's when you don't really realize if I've shot four, I can't look at it, see if it's bad, delete it, and then I've got four again. You either have that amount of
Yeah.
time, you have that amount of shots. Those small challenges are good for keeping your mind going because, like you say, blasting away 3,000 shots on a memory card, you do get lazy, I think.
But you can, you know, like film, you can do 100 takes, but you only get to,
Yeah, yeah,
at
yeah.
the end of the day, you know, you can shoot as much as you want, but you know which images are captivating and you know which one have something to say about it. So,
Mm.
tons of gear, camera.
Sometimes, friends and yeah, do you see that one about the cameras not being good, but the gear and stuff?
No, what did it say?
Sometimes I'm kind of confused why the heck people got tons of gear, cameras, lenses, and stuff, but they cannot shoot that good. Uh,
You know,
I'd
I know
say
a
so.
lot of people with a lot of toys, but, you know, I know a lot of people, toys, turntables, records, Serato, whatever that thing's called, but they can't mix. So just because you have all the toys doesn't mean you have the skill.
No, it's people. A lot of people are interested in just the technique of it, and the technical side, and gathering
Yeah,
things. You're always going to get, I think, in every field that you like you just saying DJ and photography, hunting,
yeah,
anything. You're going to have people who the hardcore like. There's so many facets and levels to those hobbies because it is a hobby or an income for people. But for most of us, it's just a, so people
yeah.
like to get a new lens and see how that feels and put it on and definitely. And then there's also people who have the worst gear possible but create the best images. Different levels of it, I think, of what you're into it for.
Yeah, I mean, especially nowadays, you have to have that third component. You have to be technically sound, you have to have that eye, and you have to have kind of like a bit of a hustle to you. You
Mm.
have to have that edge of shameless self promotion that connected you and I.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but it takes that much more. I mean, things have gotten complicated. While things have been made simpler for us, the game has kind of changed, and it makes things a little bit more complicated. And we have to go a little further to get noticed, to get work.
Mm.
You know, and it just means maybe using it to your advantage in a different way. I'm seeing a lot of gimmicks, a lot of hashtags, a lot of. I'm seeing some really good self promoters in art, whether it's painting, whether it's photography, whether it's DJing, but I'm not seeing like too much craft. I'm seeing more gimmicks to push their work as opposed to have to push their work.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, that's the sort of standard question. Are you? What is it? what is it I am a true believer that if the work is good enough, I mean, I follow some accounts that have 40, 50,000 followers. They don't even use hashtags. They just
Yep.
put their work out there and it spreads because it's just so good. And then,
Yeah.
but
It helps, but if the work is not there, you can do whatever you want and it's not gonna move anybody.
yeah,
And that's
but for,
it. I just want to make a good image. At the end of the day, I just want. I took it from Eros Hoagland. When I talked to him once, he was like, "One good image a day. Anytime you step out with the camera, your goal is one good image."
mm, mm. And that's a lot. That's a lot as well if you can get one.
That's a lot. I mean, I was in Vietnam for over 2 weeks, and I was like, if I come back with one good picture a day, I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
Did you see that? Have you ever seen or checked out John Free? Anything?
Which one?
John Free.
I don't think so. Why?
He's a street photographer from I think he's from New York, but he has a lot of YouTube videos. He does a lot of instructional videos and stuff. And he's saying, I remember him saying in one of his videos, it's more important that you don't take the shot than that you take the shot. And I I still can't understand what he means because, I mean, I feel like it can go over to the other side of it where it gets so, you know, if you can think about it way too much and make it something it actually isn't. Do you know what I mean? Especially with street photography, with this, you know, you can't smell the street and it has to be f8 and it has to be, it got so like, especially in, I want to get your opinion on that, especially in street photography. There's such an argument of what is street, what isn't street. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It seems like the only genre in photography where people hate on each other so much.
Opinion on that. A lot of photography because I do street portraits, but I'm maneuvering on the street. I'm using it as a canvas. I'm using it. A lot of people just think you have to be a fly on the wall and that's it. I can't really answer that question. I mean, if it looks good and there's a chaotic moment that makes sense to you, whether it's a portrait, whether it's a candid portrait, whether it's just a street scene, if it works, then it works.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's hard to explain what works. You just see it and you know.
Yeah, yeah. Is it more the subject for you, or is it more the subject or is it the light? Because I know a lot of photographers, they see the light first and then they want to place the subject in the light, you know?
No, I see the subject way sooner. I'll see someone from around the corner down. Then it just becomes any portrait you've seen. It's luck that I happen to have that lighting at that moment. Because when you meet strangers, you can't really tell them what to do. You have 1 second to engage, 2 seconds to catch their attention, 3 seconds to lose their interest, and after that, let's cross the street, let's go to this little corner. That's just weird. That doesn't work for me. So everything I've had has just been some soft light. There's hundreds of pictures I haven't posted because the light was too strong and it just didn't work.
How are you approaching these? How are you approaching people? Do you have a technique of how you approach people, or?
Yeah, that's the question I get asked the most. Everybody's different. Everyone is different. I can tell by looking at someone if they're gonna tell me to fuck off, or if they're gonna kind of look at me sideways unless I make a little joke. You just got to be, I don't know. That's the people person aspect. I don't take too much. I have a really hard time taking super credit on my pictures just because the people do all the heavy lifting and I just press a button. But what I will take credit for, and I always said this, I will take credit for the engagement, what it takes that you can't learn in a classroom.
You see that question there, Frenson? You might have to scroll up.
Any thoughts like outdoor photography? Just tried it. I think it's just too mainstream. I look at the outdoor scenery photography. I can't do that stuff. So people who can do that, I admire them. I wish I could. When I see landscape, it doesn't really don't know what to do with it. What really catches my attention is people's character and personality, and for some reason I just gravitate to that first.
Well, we got that. I'm just trying to find any more questions. You had another. I want to try and get so we don't miss any of them. Yeah, sometimes I step away from Instagram just because I feel like it overclouds my motivation. I feel like I need to compete when it shouldn't be that way. Yeah, I think that's the likes. That's the likes thing.
But there's a real world out there. The most successful photographers I know don't even go to Instagram. Some of them do, but they're too busy working. So I try not to let that get the best of me. If you follow the right people, I follow your pages, and that stuff's just really inspiring. I think you had a guy from Brazil take over the feed not too long ago, and did some of the best stuff I've seen in a long time.
Do you have any preferences when you're shooting color or black and white? Is there anything? Does it depend on the outcome?
Take a picture and making it black and white is just going to rock of the color. Not to speak freely, but it makes sense. I have a handful of portraits that you've probably seen in crime for me to process those in color. In black and white, because the headdresses and the people are so colorful. The skin, reds, the yellows, the purples.
Are you using Lightroom, Photoshop? How are you editing your stuff?
Yeah, I'm not too heavy on Photoshop. Lightroom, definitely Lightroom. I'm still learning. I have, and my friend Zach Edison's on this feed right now. He's watching. He helps me out a lot.
Are you're only shooting RAW?
Yeah, I always shot RAW. Always shoot RAW.
There's a lot of people that have the gear debate, but I like this. I like your approach with it when you're just going for the subject more than anything. That's the important thing, and then I think that's important now. I think people are getting away from that a little bit.
Yeah, never forget. It's even Gordon Parks says this. The person in front of the camera is the most important person. You don't mean jack shit, and I try to remember that as much as possible. It's with that agree to let me in, I don't have any photos.
No.
So I treat them with respect. I try to stay away from homeless folks. I know that's a big street photography thing on Instagram. You take a picture of a homeless guy, slap a black and white preset on it, boom, street photography. But I try to stay away from capturing homeless, photographing homeless. That's not really my thing.
Do you have any particular reason for that?
I live in Los Angeles, so there's a huge homeless population out here. It's not my thing. I have some comrades who do very well documenting the homeless. I think there's a difference between documenting and exploiting. But it's just not my thing. It's something that I'd rather not do. But I have a couple friends, a couple comrades who specialize in that, and they're very good at it. I've just kind of made a challenge, no pictures of anyone on a cell phone, no pictures of anyone on a bus stop, no pictures of homeless.
It's good to have your own rules.
It's almost all rules are meant to be broken, and sometimes you find yourself breaking your own rules. So I'm open to anything, really.
Yeah. It's so difficult. I think it's so difficult nowadays. Cell phones have definitely changed the game, both for photography and street photography. It's 9 out of 10 people they're on their phones. They're walking with their phones. They're sitting on buses with their phones. They're on trains with their phones. It's almost impossible to find someone to photograph that's not on their phone these days.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I never really thought of that. But maybe it's because I just don't even pay. If they're on their phones, I don't even pay attention to. I did see a photographer who took a picture of a bunch of people at a train station with on their phones, and every single person was on their phones, and it was beautifully composed. And then on the top, he cropped an old photograph from like a New York City bus station, and everyone was on paper.
Huh.
So I thought that was a very cool juxtaposition of our times. And just to let people know that we really haven't changed that much. I mean, we're going to bury our heads in a magazine, a newspaper, or a phone.
Images that you usually write a big story, a big story, an explanation. Do you have certain questions that you ask these people, or is it just a sort of a summary of the engagement you guys had?
I think it's more of a summary of the engagement. I mean, when I work in different countries and people invite me into their homes or into their lives, I really don't take the camera out right away. And if I do, I take it out and I put it on a table just to let them know that, sometimes it's very intimidating, but having my lens in someone's face, I really try to talk to people first, hours. I find myself scouting light, but same time just engaging them and just trying to get them comfortable. I mean, that's all it is. I don't take the camera out right away. I usually a lot of those photographs and portraits you saw from Vietnam, I'll put the camera down on the table first, talk to them, we'll have some drinks, we'll have some food, and then I'll your picture right here. And then by that time they're normally open to anything that I want to do, and it's just up to me to not exploit it.
How do you go about, like for myself, when I started street photography, I used to say, right, I'm going out now to take some street photos, and I'd plan a time where I'd go out and take photos. But nowadays, I just have I have a camera on me absolutely everywhere I go. Even if I go down the shop to buy milk, I take my camera with me. And I find now I tried today before we was talking now, I'll go out and photo for 3 hours. I got nothing interesting because I was just thinking, I've got a photo. Just the freedom of taking it everywhere. And if something pops up, you take a photo. How does it work for you? I used to be able to do it, but I find I can't do it anymore.
That's a good question. I need to focus that. I need to be out with a purpose for that. It makes me pay attention. If I shoot in LA, I have to make a conscious effort to walk a certain miles away. That way I have to walk back. It needs to be a standard effort that I'm here to do this and only this.
Yeah.
Walks in LA, so it's very hard to, you could drive around all day and see something that you like, but you have to try a little harder to just walk. There's cars everywhere.
Yeah. Have you? For me, living in Sweden, going around photoing in LA, it seems like it would be problematic.
Say that again?
It seems like going around photoing in LA would be problematic. It seems like people would be, I don't know why, it's obviously, it's the movies and stuff. It feels like people will be more aggressive or do you know what I mean? It's like this stereotype that you get of, oh, you photo in LA, it must be crazy.
Yeah. You're right. I feel that it's like that, but survival of the fittest. You have to be a chameleon and adapt to that. And if I were you, I wouldn't be walking around in certain areas that are a little bit more, that are grittier, that you could probably take some. But LA isn't easy to maneuver around who you are if you can go into different areas and still come out with some good images.
Can you hear me better? Can you hear me better now?
Now, all of a sudden, I can hear you great. Yeah.
Yeah, just clicked in and I can hear you perfectly now. That's better. I don't have to shout anymore. This might get my sore throat. Sorry. Is there anywhere you won't go and photo in LA?
Anywhere? Skid Row. I'll probably stay away from Skid Row because that's where all the homeless are. Just because but every now I'll take a trip down there with my fellow shooters, but I tend to put my camera away and just kind of engage. And there's an area in downtown Los Angeles, Broadway, where it's become so popular. It's you've probably seen so many images of it. I mean, you can't walk down Broadway in downtown LA and not see at least 5 or 6 people with cameras taking pictures. And I don't know what they're taking pictures of. You know, maybe just the old architecture, the streets, but finding those good spots in LA, it's really tough now. I mean, I have them, but I need to get back to photographing LA, and I've been abroad so much that I need to kind of get my ass back over here.
Yeah. Whereabouts in LA are you?
I'm by the beach. So I'm a couple miles from Santa Monica Beach. California is very, very vibrant. It just depends on the light because, you know, you're right on the beach.
Yeah.
But I'm right. My old method was take the train into downtown Los Angeles because that forced me, even if I'm not having a good day, just kind of walk through it.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I mean, the only experiences I have of America was I went to New York for 2 weeks. I was just so overwhelmed by everything. It was like I felt like it was such a weird feeling because it felt like I lived there already. I felt at home there. You know what I mean? Because you see it so much in the movies, I admire anybody that can go from another country to New York and take images of worth because it was just. Yeah. Are you just only focused in LA, or do you travel other places in America? I know you go out of the country a lot, but is there anywhere else in the States that you like to photo?
Oh yeah, New York is great. I mean, when I first started, I went to New York, and you can just walk forever, and how you can go to New York and not get a good image. It's just so vibrant, and full of life, and full of movement. New York is the Mecca, 100%.
Yeah, it feels like every image that every iconic image that you've seen before, and you think, I know that place, I know that place, I know that place, and you could just spend a whole day shooting yellow cabs, you know? It's just everywhere.
I mean, there's something for everyone's eye there. I mean, it's incredible. We're focusing on a little bit more of the Americana, like Westernish, you know, as you guys know, you know, America's definitely in a split, you know, politically, politically wise. And I like photographing those rural areas a little bit. I was in mid-California, which is very almost like country and farm. And I was like, it's, you know, that you don't really walk along great images, but I'm really interested in photographing that next.
Yeah. I'm finding myself being pulled towards, especially photographers from the States, being pulled towards those kind of images that actually show what it's like in America, not just what it's like in New York. It's the same here. Because I think you come from that place. So for us, people from Europe, definitely when we're doing street photography, I think a lot of the street photography that people from Europe are doing is trying to find spots in their own country that look like America. You know what I mean? And because it seems to be, the New York street photography seems to be an industry standard that everyone shoots up to. So, you know, I do it myself. If I find an American car, I like to shoot it in that sort of an angle and you know, even though it's Sweden. But I think what's important, I don't know what you think of it, but I think what's important is that you show because for you to see what it's like outside my street in Sweden is just as exciting as for me to see what it's like in America.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I live by the beach, so if I photographed everything by me, it'd be like surfboards and scooters and, you know, flip-flops. So but the beauty about LA is that you can go 20-30 minutes and be somewhere completely different. And I think a lot of gentrification is happening in the city right now, so you're seeing a lot of the same hipster-esque lifestyles popping up in every single neighborhood, which takes a lot of soul out of it, but it's still inputting another type of soul into it. So that's another issue down in LA right now.
I listen a lot to the Joe Rogan podcast. That's where I get my information about LA and you're out in California. It's just saying you drive 5 hours north and you're in rural farmland.
Oh,
You know what
not
I
even
mean?
5 hours, like two, hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can drive an hour straight east, and I'll be in like cow country, manure smelling, haystacks everywhere.
It's almost like LA, like Vegas in a desert of farmland instead of a desert of sand.
Yeah,
It's,
it is definitely like there's a lot better.
yeah. But I guess it's hot here, man. I don't know. It's muggy here. You use the word muggy. It
Yeah,
feels
well,
like
we don't
it's
really get it too much because we're spoiled. I mean, anyone who's born and raised in Los Angeles, they couldn't tell you what real cold is. They couldn't really tell you what real hot is. We're just kind of like, that's why it costs an arm and a leg to live here right now because, in Thanksgiving in November, it's going to be beach weather.
yeah. Yeah, I've heard about that, man. From obviously my Joe Rogan
Yeah,
input source, just saying the housing prices are insane there.
it's so bad. Yeah, it's terrible right now. You're extra foot
Mm.
forward. A lot of people that I know who are maintaining their lifestyle here have two or three jobs, and I'm definitely one of those people who have a number of hustles to maintain my lifestyle here.
Mm. I think it's really interesting. It's definitely. Is that something you plan on doing more instead of doing portrait stuff? Do you do anything else like maybe showing the area where you live or the street without just focusing on portraits, or are you only focused on?
Other things, I try to focus on shadow play and candid, but I just can't help myself when I see someone who I need to take their portrait. I really don't have a control. I don't have control over what I see and what I like. I try,
Mm.
but a lot of the streetscapes and beach landscapes, I don't know what to do with that stuff when I see it. When I see someone with some character in their skin, I know exactly what to do with it, and I do everything I can to go after them.
Mm.
Most of the
Now
time, I get turned down.
the age-old question: if someone asks you when you've taken their image, they ask you to take it away. Image? Yeah.
And yeah, I always do that later where I'll send someone the picture I took of them, and they're like, "Oh, I hate that. Can you just delete that?" And I'll stick to it. It'll never see the light of day. I'll delete it.
Mm. So you do send people the picture that you've taken. Do you do that as a standard?
Yeah. Whenever I take someone's portrait, I always say like, here's my information. If you want the file, and they don't really respond most of the time. They're just like, oh, okay, and then I never hear from them again. Every now and then I'll have someone ask me, but for the most part, most people, as soon as I come into their lives, they forget about me right afterwards.
Yeah. As the
Yeah.
same. Yeah. A lot of emphasis is put on. I think a lot of emphasis is put on with people taking street that they're scared to go up to the people in case they're, depending on what's going to happen. But
It's
realistically,
frightening.
I don't think people care. To be honest with you, a lot of people just don't care. You come in their life,
They
you
do.
get the shot.
It's not what you do, it's how you do it. It's how you
Yeah.
approach them, and that's something that I will always take credit for. That I have a little knack for engaging with people, and
Yeah. You don't do the Bruce Gillen style, just going up
no,
there flat.
no,
And bam!
no, not at all. I mean, I got to hand it to people that do that because I don't even. I mean, I don't know how many times Bruce has probably been punched or pushed or chased. That I can't do that. I mean, I tip my hat to him and other shooters like that.
I tried. I had a period where I was just doing in your face shots,
Yeah,
and then I tried that one day with a flash, doing the same thing in your face shots with a flash. It's a whole other ball game.
yeah.
Like
I don't even know. I
there's
can't even
levels to that.
fathom doing that. So when I see how he does that, I mean, in my eyes, Bruce Gilden is probably the best, just because his style is the most identifiable looking at, and
Yeah.
he's stamped that's his style. He can't look at one of his images, it's his images. That's very hard to do. So even though he might not be my favorite, I can probably argue that he's the best.
Yeah. The thing is with that is that from my own experience when I did it, I was looking for someone who I thought isn't going to smack me in the face. Whereas
Yep.
he's going for people who, when you look at them, they probably are going to smack him in the face. He's going completely opposite. He's going for the people who look the craziest, and they look the most character. Bam, straight in the face. I have no idea how he does.
Yeah, that's why he is who he is, and he has the work that he does, because I couldn't do it. And I know a lot of people try, but only he can do it that way.
Have you seen the videos of him when he gets in confrontations with people, and you know?
Oh yeah, 100%.
It doesn't give a shit.
He's a New Yorker. I mean, that's to me, you know, you could tell, like going back to what I said, you could tell a lot about a person by looking at their work and how they maneuver on the streets. Looking at Bruce's work, you know he's a ballsy motherfucker, because just look at what he does. You know, about you and get those shots.
Yeah, definitely. So are you, what do you have? Instagram's going to cut us off in minutes. Just so you know.
Oh, that's fine. You know what? My phone's actually probably going to die in the next 2 minutes.
Just for those.
If I cut out, it's not a rude exit.
Yeah, no problem. Just for those who don't know, is there any other way for anyone to get in contact with you? Is there an email, or is it best to just get you through Instagram?
If you'll see my website. You know, my contact information is right there. Go to my website, check out some stuff, and you know, you can always DM me. You know, if anyone interested in anything, yeah, DM is always the easiest way.
Yeah. Any questions if they want to get in contact with you for work, or I'm sure loads of
Any
people have
questions,
questions,
advice, anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
perfect. Bro, thanks very much for coming on this evening. It's insightful stuff.
I really appreciate you taking this time on a Friday night. It's Friday morning for me, but
yeah,
it's very nice to finally meet you.
Don't worry, man. Don't worry. Take care, and I'll catch you around.
All right. We'll see you later.